Pardon?
There you go.
You just love taking the piss out of me, don't you? It just warms the cockles of your heart. It just warms the cockles of your heart, doesn't it? There we go. So, right. Hi there, folks. Welcome back to another WP-Tonic workshop with Spencer Forum, the founder and CEO of LaunchFlows. It's going to be another great session where we're going to be talking about all things using the power of WordPress, Gutenberg with LaunchFlows to build, I imagine, fantastic sales funnels that work, that you can implement for yourself or for clients and become the wizard for your clients, or become your own wizard, which might sound even more fun. So I'm just going to throw it over to Spencer and let him guide us through another session.
Let's do that. So thanks for having me on again. Basically, what we're focused on here is the nature of WordPress today, for almost everybody I can think of, involves selling something. So if you think about it, whether it's your service or your product or it's some event, you're selling. And so the whole reason to focus on sales funnels versus a shop experience is that there really are two types of ways of selling. One is somebody comes in like a traditional Home Depot or others, they go down the aisles and look amongst all the various products and put things into a basket. And that has not gone away. But even in those environments, you can see in the digital space like Amazon, that people are being given more encouragement, more help on which things would be a match for them. For example, hardly a day goes by, unfortunately for me, that I don't buy off of Amazon. But when I go to Amazon, it's learned about the kind of things that I want or that I do. And so it gives me suggestions that help me sort through maybe 30, 40, 50 different choices and narrow it down to something easy. On the other side of things, the traditional way of sales funnel is that you don't even show the whole shop. You simply understand about what the person wants and needs, and you give them what they want and need. And part of understanding sales funnels is to look at both the WooCommerce plugin as well as your choice of a marketing automation solution, which typically has involved a plugin called WP Fusion, but could also nowadays include a plugin called Fluent CRM, which includes both the CRM capability and this ability. And the ability I'm speaking to is this. When somebody comes to your site, you can give them tags based upon their doing something, clicking something, viewing something, buying something. So in other words, Spencer is a new visitor, and if we get him to register and log in, we can give him things that will allow us to understand what he's done, what he's seen, what his preferences are. And I can also collect data about this visitor, call it me, that he fills out or she fills out themselves. He's from Chicago. He likes chocolate. His favorite color is yellow. And the reason that's relevant is because in a sales funnel environment, when you combine the ability of LaunchFlows to make less of a shop and more of a here's the thing you want experience with the tags, you now know exactly what somebody wants, and you can really, really, really improve their experience and their happiness, which leads to more likely a sale, and for recurring revenue things, lower churn. People will stick around. So summing it up, the reason this is important to almost everybody is that whether it's your product or your service or your membership site or anything you're doing on WordPress, by putting in place a process that allows you to immediately capture the person, tag them, track them, and then give them things that are more relevant in an immediate satisfaction way, you're just guaranteeing that you're going to have a better outcome and a better financial outcome. So let's talk about those components in the real world. I have a demo site here, which is jazzed up with this new plugin that I may turn off just to not freak people out. The first thing that we have is with LaunchFlows, instead of a traditional shop, we can adjust the products so that they can be sold as sales pages themselves. We also can include a CRM. As I mentioned, it could be an outside CRM like an ActiveCampaign or a MailChimp, but here Fluent combines the best of all worlds because we can put the CRM into the actual WordPress space. And then there's typically going to be the use of a plugin like WP Fusion. And WP Fusion has really, it lives inside of the things we're doing, but it also has a dashboard page where you can configure various things, including, like we talked about, being able to map custom fields that somebody acquires and putting the user's data, like from when I become a user of WordPress, I can take all the information collected from me as a user and synchronize it to the CRM so that the CRM can do special things like automations. Let me turn off, by the way, this plugin is very clever, but I'm going to turn it off because otherwise people will see this and they'll freak out that it is literally different than all my other videos. This is a plugin I just recommended that's really neat called UI Styling. But let me turn it off. Here we go. UI Press Lite. Yeah. Okay. So this is what people are more traditionally used to saying. And let me scroll that down so I get a little better view. Okay. So let's first talk about the idea of when somebody registers and logs in. There's different ways that you can do this, but step one in a modern, oh, you know what I noticed, by the way? I'm so sorry. I should have done this. You guys couldn't see that the whole time, so you didn't see what I was showing you. The modern WordPress funnel starts with the notion that we're going to register and log somebody into the website. Now, in the past, that might have freaked people out because they said, I don't want everybody in my website. But the truth is, when you have WooCommerce especially enabled, it won't make a difference to you and it will help them. Here's why. With WooCommerce enabled, the back-end experience like this will never be visible to people on the front. So you'll be able to see who's your subscribers or customers or other kinds of roles, but none of them will see the back end. On the other hand, for them, they will get a very clever front-end dashboard, My Account area, that can be customized and extended and made very beautiful as well. And so from that standpoint, just adding WooCommerce, even if you're not taking money, provides a very pleasant environment to make some really neat things happen. The second thing, though, about that is that if we set up WooCommerce to allow people to be immediately registered and logged in, even when they acquire a free product, it means that we have the opportunity to immediately begin applying this method I'm talking about of tagging them and tracking their behavior. So let's talk about how that works and why that's important. With LaunchFlows, I typically recommend that people go into WooCommerce and they set up to not allow guest checkout. So if we go to WooCommerce accounts and privacy, we want to select not the first choice, but the second choice that says people must be able to log in to an existing account. And we also allow them to create it during checkout, but we do not want them to be able to buy stuff as a guest. Because if you do that, then you won't be able to track them in the future. They won't have a user profile. And therefore, if no user profile, they won't be added into the context of the CRM either. Okay, so once you have the basic idea that somebody is going to buy a product or get it for free, you now have a way to automatically register and log them in, which is super clever. And in doing so, we can also use the power of LaunchFlows to make what's called an instant registration. That is to say, it's a free product, but really what it's doing is acting just like any old registration form, but it gives us the benefit of tagging the people in the same time. If you happen to enjoy using other forms like Gravity Forms, Elementor Forms, WP Forms, you can do the exact same thing when you have the WP Fusion plugin. In other words, you can register somebody on a form and then get it where it logs them in at the same time. Here's what I'm going to do on this example. I'm going to make a new product. And LaunchFlows works either in classic or blocks. I like it in blocks because with the new version 4.0, it gives us the power to do some pretty clever and amazing stuff, as you'll see in a second. So I can actually make a product into its own checkout page. So let's make this, we'll call it the WP-Tonic product. And in this case, I will show you that it will be virtual. It could be any type of product, though. And if I wanted to use it for registration only, I could make it for $0. And then in LaunchFlows, after I've published, I can say, where do I want the person to go when they buy this? Now, the neat thing is you can send them anywhere you want. So for example, typically when somebody buys a product, you'll send them to the checkout page and then from checkout to thank you. But I can also put the checkout page right here. I don't actually have to send them elsewhere to do that. So if my hosting on this sandbox cooperates during our demo. We'll see if that works out. I have mixed results whenever I'm doing this live broadcast with my Comcast tin can connection to the internet.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
I think I was empathizing with Andrew today, where he was claiming that he's 24 miles out of London and so. Well, guess what? I'm 24 miles out of Chicago, and I have the same problem that Alexander Graham Bell has a faster connection in his grave than I have here. Let's try this again. It's really ridiculous. Okay, that time it worked. And let's set an image on this. Here's Jonathan's assistant. So we'll put that in there. Okay.
I'm not passing any comment on that.
We've got a new product, and here's where I can use this product as its own checkout. So I will type in the name of where I want somebody to go after they buy, which is the checkout, or after they add it. And what's going to happen is this way they stay on the same page. And as mentioned, I can also use LaunchFlows to add the checkout here to this product. So in just those many steps, what I've done is made it possible that if this product is used with the default template, we get a very elegant experience, but we're going to improve upon it. So here's the elegant experience out of the box. We have a product. I can add it to the cart, and the cart itself is on the page. I had a couple things in there. Let me remove from my previous what I was doing. Okay, so here's the product ready to buy, and so on and so forth. Now, what I'm going to do too is I noticed that I was playing around with the Buddy Boss theme. Let's go back to using the Cadence theme just for the sake of, I know that when people see my stuff, they don't ever see me using that Buddy Boss theme, but it just proves it works with any theme. Let me switch over to Cadence just so it looks like everything I've used before. Where are you, Cadence? That's odd. Maybe I deleted it. I'll just add it real quick.
Oh, Shakara.
No, I know, right? Really weird.
It's in general though, we've got some amazing technology on the WordPress platform at the present moment, haven't we?
Really, really powerful tools, which the purpose that I'm trying to show here, although I'm being very step by step in this one versus like the typical global, is that with the tools we have today, it's a very rare thing indeed that anybody would ever really need to custom code stuff. There was a moment in time when a lot of customizing had to be done via code in order to overcome the lack of tools. Now I'd say it's the opposite. It's that you have an enormous number of tools that work together. So my focal point is on showing people why they shouldn't customize stuff and instead just use the tools. So here you can see with Cadence, if I add this to the cart, I get a nice experience out of the box, ready to buy, but let's simplify it further because as I said, if we're going to do this for free, we don't need to bother people with all that junk. So what I would do is I would just go to the optional LaunchFlows and I would say, let's use the blank template and let's use what we call the instant registration option. And in doing so, this automatically will remove all the unnecessary junk and show something that looks very similar to a registration form. Very elegant, very simple, right? Ta-da. So now if I wanted to register, I could just take the person's first name, last name, email. They place an order. Now, what does this do? Let's put in a different name here. Bob@cardiff.com or something. What this does is allow somebody to check out, be taken wherever I set them up to be taken, but it gives them the things we were just talking about, which would be a special tag based upon what they bought or what they got for free. So let's finish the setup. Where do I want them to go? Maybe I want them to go to the My Account page right after they buy. And I want to use WP Fusion in this case to apply a special tag from Fluent CRM, like the member tag. So if Bob registers for free with this free product, he's going to be basically registered, logged in, get all the welcome emails, be taken to the My Account page, and then it'll have a tag which we can use to unlock certain things. So let's give it a try. And let's do this. I'm thinking to go in incognito, but I'll just do this logged in as me because it'll work the same way. Okay. So register, check in, took it to the My Account page. Amazing, right? Let's see what happened on the backside. If we go to the dashboard and we look into Fluent CRM, we will see what just happened. We go to the Customers tab or the Contact tab, and we will see, in this case, I was already registered, so that's why we're not seeing it, but you will normally see the person who got registered. In that case, it would be Bob at Cardiff. And the reason it's not working, because as you saw, I was already logged in as me at the time. But what will typically happen is they will get the tag here for what they just bought, and they will get the other information that came from the checkout synchronized to their contact. And that's let's try this live, because otherwise it looks silly when I do this. Let's do it on an incognito window. So we're going to go here, open an incognito window. And then what I have to do is I just have to share differently. Let me share the incognito window. And that's the one. Okay. And let me put in the actual product without all the preview part of it. Okay. So one last thing I have to do here. Sorry. Let's go back over here. Okay. Let's refresh. Okay. So if we were to add this product to the cart through this method, we see we've got this registration form. There's some other things I'm going to show you about that I just changed. But if we do like Bob at Cardiff.com, Bob Cardiff, this person will be registered, logged in, taken into my account, and given the tags. Okay. We can see he's logged in. Now let's go back over here and look at the contacts again. And this time we will see, here's Bob at Cardiff. And we'll see that Bob got the tag, the member tag, from buying the product. Now, what do we do with that? Well, in the scope of sales funnels, we can use tags to show or hide different products. So instead of just using it to register a person, we can use LaunchFlows and WooCommerce to upsell somebody, downsell somebody, do an order bump. Well, what are those? Those are things that typically happen at the time of buying their first product. You'll notice with this person, we've not sold them anything yet. We don't have any money from them. So typically you'll offer somebody who is registered for free a tripwire product. That is a very low cost item. Maybe it's a sample of your course, a sample of your services. So for $5, $6, $7, $10 maximum, we get two things happening. One is you force them into mindset of taking out their credit card. And in doing so, two, they've got their credit card auto-saved. So now they've already considered you trustworthy enough to give money to. And once that happens, now we can upsell them things like at the checkout line of a supermarket, very impulse buy, right? Like when you're waiting to buy your vegetables, you see a chocolate bar or a magazine. It's sure, throw it on the line. So let's talk about how that might work. If we wanted to, we can use the same method here to create a product. And we'll call this our tripwire, our WP tripwire. And again, I can work in classic or not. So this time I'll work in classic, WP tripwire product. And in this case, let's give it a price of $7. And it could be, again, a downloadable, or it could be an actual shippable product. But $7, maybe it's a digital lesson. Now, the delivery of that lesson can happen.
I'm interrupting. I apologize. Are we supposed to be seeing the screen?
Oh, my goodness. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you. I didn't know what happened there. Sorry. Thank you for reminding me that.
They're seeing my
okay, so sorry.
They're seeing my ugly face. They want to see your beautiful screen.
Well, I got so ahead of myself there with what was happening that I should have figured that out first.
I can see. Oh yeah, there we go.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm gonna just step back for a second. So in this case, I don't know. Did I miss everything with the receipts and so forth? Did I not show? Let me just show you real quick. When I took everybody to Fluent CRM, I went into contacts. And this new person who registered and checked out, Bob at Cardiff, got a new contact. They got the tag. And I also collected any other checkout data that I might have taken at the time. In that case, it was just first name, last name, email. but I might have taken address info and so forth. So then what I was showing is let's make a tripwire product. So I went back to products, and I just, in this case, let's actually do it full editor. In this case, I'm making a new product, which is going to sell them something for $7. And it's a virtual product, $7. I will add a product image onto it. And in this case, with LaunchFlows, I can do the same thing. I can do it to a checkout page, or I can do it to this page with its own checkout. So I'll carry on with adding the checkout to itself, because that's a very convenient method. So LaunchFlows, I will set up the place to go as tripwire. And I will add with the meta box, I think it's up here on the top, a checkout. And where do I want to go next? Again, I can send them to either a thank you, or I can send them to an upsell on its own page. For right now, let's just show the thank you. Now, what happens here is that the product can be shown with either the default layout of WooCommerce. It can use Gutenberg and redesign the whole thing. You can use your page builder to redesign the whole thing, or you can even use one of our clever little like pre-formatted templates that do really well if you have, let's say, thousands of SKUs, like thousands of MP3s. You can just choose one of these and it gives you everything as you need it on the screen. For today, I'll just stick with the default template. And then what I want to do is show you about the credit card option. Now, LaunchFlows has an option that can be used either as a short code or as a Gutenberg block or as a widget that allows you to save their credit card information. And that's available in our documentation. We don't save it ourselves. We use the native WooCommerce for it. But by putting the short code into place, you can allow somebody to use a credit card without knowing that they're actually saving it. And in doing so, now we can sell them something next without them having to add it a second time. So if we go over here and we scroll down to save credit card, or we search for save credit card, we can do it for Square or Stripe. I'm going to use this for Stripe, which is the gateway I've got installed. So I simply paste that short code in, and now let's look at the product. So here I've got the product like before, and it's, just the default layout. By the way, let me do one thing. I don't like the distraction in a sales funnel of all this extra stuff. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to edit the product to very quickly make it a clean sales page without doing any more customization. And all you need for that is to go to LaunchFlows and use the Instant Clean Sales Page option box. And watch how nicely this gets rid of all of the distracting items that you don't need for somebody to see when you're trying to focus on selling them the main product. So look at that. Now it's super clean, right? We've just got the product. We've got just the checkout. And though we can customize that, we don't need to, because watch what happens. If they add it to the cart, again, like you'd expect, they're ready to go, ready to check out, ready to buy. But notice down here with their existing credit card, or even if they add a new credit card, it's going to save that information without asking them. So even if you live in a country that has GDPR and so on and so forth, it makes no difference, because saving the credit card info can be just as long as you need to finish this checkout. And then you can use the default behavior of WooCommerce to delete that information later. But by saving it now, they can finish the checkout. And then, as I'll show you, we'll have that information available to us to offer them an upsell. So in this case, when they check out, we're taking them onto the thank you page. What we could have done is taken them onto an upsell. So let's go one step further. Now, what is an upsell versus an order bump? An order bump is typically something that you add to the original purchase because it complements it. For example, I'm buying a digital camera. Maybe you want to add on more memory cards or more batteries. An upsell is when you replace the original order with something bigger, more expensive typically. And so in doing that, we can choose either way. But in this case, let's just do it as an order bump. Instead of a thank you, let's throw something at them. Now, we can do this a lot of ways, but I'm just going to take advantage of this thank you page itself because we're already directed there. And let's just use Gutenberg to throw in an offer here. And we can do that with our built-in widget, or we can build it from scratch. So let's see how we would do that. First of all, with Gutenberg, I'm just going to delete the blocks that I don't need. So I'll remove this block and I'll actually leave the thank you block. But where this picture is, I can actually put in our order bump widget or our upsell widget. Makes no difference. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click the box, and with LaunchFlows, I simply say upsell. Now it gives me parameters that I can add. And it's really simple because all one needs to do is look at your product lists in the admin and pick the ID of a product that you want to upsell. So here, for example, I'm already selling the tripwire. Let's just make one new product. We're going to make it our upsell product. And again, we can make it custom, or we'll just use the default stuff. We'll call it WP-Tonic upsell product. And we'll do like we did with all the other ones, except on this one, it's not necessarily necessary. We don't need to add the product itself with the checkout. This time, we're going to send them to a real checkout page. So I'll go ahead and set a product image. So in this case, we're going to sell them some shrimp scampi. And the price on that will be, I don't know, $25. Okay. And now with LaunchFlows, we say, where do we want them to go? Well, we're going to create a checkout page or use what's here. So here I've got one called checkout, which is just a default checkout. And then where do they go when they're done? And we'll send them again to the My Account. So if you're following me with this one, when we offer it, if they say yes, they will go on to buy it. They'll be taken after they buy it to the My Account. But what we want to do is take this product now and get the ID of it to put it into the widget. So you can see the idea here. Bertha's a little bit in the way, or you can see the ID at the top. It's 53089. So we just go into our upsell widget and put that number in, 53089. And as far as like what happens next, you can also set the parameters here of like what you want the buttons to say and what you want to happen next. It's all customizable. Let's take a look at what this looks like on the front end. So now when they buy our $7 tripwire on the thank you page, and again, these colors are ridiculously ugly, but that's just because I haven't customized anything here. They have a choice. Yes, I want it. No, I don't. If they say, yes, I want it, they will be taken to the checkout where they can finish checking out. But let's make it even easier. We have a feature called auto click checkout. So if you know the person is logged in and you know you've got their credit card saved, which we do, why bother making the need for them to click the button, right? So let's use our auto click checkout short code, or you can do it with a widget. And what this does is it changes the experience. So now they won't even need to do anything. It'll just complete the transaction as long as you're sure that the person has the necessary things like being logged in and they have their credit card saved. Okay, so let's try this one now. Okay, I've updated it. I'm going to go back here. And now imagine that I know I'm going to have 2 in the cart, but like if I go ahead and say, yes, I want it, let's see what happens. Now it says, well, moment, orders processed, and it'll take me to the My Account page where I'm all done as long as everything else is in place. And there we go. So what I've shown you is really simply, without doing lots of organizational stuff, how you can take a product or a service and wrap it up. Along the way, you can upsell things, you can give tags for things. Let's talk about how the tags are relevant to you. Well, if every product I gave somebody gives them a tag, I will be able to see for everybody who buys the history of what they bought, right? So for example, if I go over here and I had given somebody a tag, each product could give a unique tag. And that would allow me to do a couple things. Number one is I could build follow-up automations, right? Send somebody who bought this product an email, or send somebody a choice based upon using this tag or another to do something in the future. But it can also be used to show or hide content. So let's talk about the fact that somebody buys access to the WP-Tonic membership site. Well, whether it's on a page or it's inside of our LearnDash or Lifter LMS, I can go ahead and add content that is protected by way of the tag. And that works really simple. So let's do it on a whole page. This is member content. And I'm just being stupid simple here, blah, 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 blah. Here's the member content. I only want you to see this if you've bought something or gotten something through the checkout that gave you the tag for accessing it. So we go to the meta box here for WP Fusion, and we say you have to be logged in. And we say to see this page, you need a tag, the member tag. Now, why is that awesome? That's awesome because that protection level will either show a message that's generic, show a message that's custom, or even redirect somebody to the page where they can go and buy the thing that gives access. And let's see what that looks like. If we open this in, well, let's use the front end, and then let's use the WP Fusion preview with tag. So here's my blah, blah, blah content. If I don't have the right tag, I'll see something like this. Let's say, let's try this tag. It's not working because I'm logged in. Let's log out and show us. Oops, you don't have permission to view this page. Make sure you log in. That's the generic message, but I could customize that to something very specific, like, hey, you must be a WP-Tonic member. Click here to buy your membership. And so it's really, really powerful to set this up, because the last bit of it is, what am I going to do with all this data? Well, first of all, by keeping stuff in a CRM, whichever one you use, you can segment in the future based upon people who have visited your site. If I want to show a different message to people who are members, I can use the very same method I showed to have like a special banner at the top of my site. Hey, members, 50% off today. I can give automatic discounts, but I can also do things in my automation with whatever CRM I'm using. So if we go over here, we'll see that, let's say if I'm creating a basic automation, I can use things like whether a tag exists or a tag is applied as what we call a trigger. The trigger starts a sequence of events that essentially allows things to happen. Let me turn on the plugin. That's the Pro plugin. Okay, so going back to, let's say, this automation, I could say, all right, what is going to trigger the follow-up to somebody buying one of my products, right? It's going to be tag is applied. We start the automation and we say, oh, let's give it a thing. Let's see, WP-Tonic automation after purchase. Okay. Tag is applied. And it'll ask me, what tag is it that's applied? Well, the member tag. So if somebody gets the member tag, then the rest of this will follow. And what's going to follow? Well, maybe I'm going to send a custom email, right? You know, be like, thanks for buying. You're in. And then I can use Gutenberg here to add all kinds of other content and so forth. And then maybe I'm also going to send them to a particular page. I'm going to wait 3 days. And then what I'm going to do is say, hey, member, we've got some special bonus for you, right? So here I might either send a custom email, or I could do what I talked about before, which is apply a tag. So the tag that I create in this case might be something that reveals the banner to members. So I'll call it reveal banner to members. This tag, when I add this, is going to be given to anybody who is in that sequence. So 3 days after you buy, you will get, without knowing it, a tag, so that the next time you come back to the site, here's what's going to happen. I can have a page or a part of my page that is visible only to you because you happen to have that particular, component. And I can go on, but within the scope of what we've got for time today, the trick to this is that you're using a very small set of plugins, right? It's your favorite theme. It's your favorite page builder. It's WooCommerce, LaunchFlows, a CRM. I'm showing Fluent, which I like, but it could be ActiveCampaign, anything else. And in most cases, WP Fusion. That small set of stuff does everything you need to do, from a ClickFunnels or Kartra or any of those outside services, except you own it, control it, and you can do a multitude of customizing even with no code. And that is how, in a modern WordPress environment, somebody gets exactly what they need with very, very low complication. There's not that many hard things to set up here. It is new, but you know what I mean? It's not like not like learning coding.
No. After about a week, a bit of a dive into it, looking after about 2-3 days, maybe a week, you'd be well up to speed, wouldn't you?
I would say that the biggest thing that is impressive to me is when you're using the layout capability of Gutenberg. I have been a big proponent of Elementor and still am in many ways, but I want to just show you that when you're working in the environment of making offers, so original products, when you're making upsells, downsells, order bumps, and so forth, working in the experience of Gutenberg is really revolutionary. So here, let's say, is a Gutenberg product. Even if the rest of my site is Elementor or Divi or anything else, it doesn't make a difference, because watch what I can do. And I've shown this in other videos, but I make the product. Let's give it a really nice featured image. Let's give it like some big format featured image like this. This is something I got for free off of pexels.com. Right off the bat, if I had 100 products, I could switch to the block editor, which gives me the controls that I want. And actually, in this case, I made a page. Let me make a product. Sorry. I called it a product, but it wasn't a product. I made a page. Let me make a new product. Let's do the same thing. We'll call it the Gutenberg product. Switch to the block editor. The block editor causes a lot of people heartburn because I complained about it, for 2 years solid. But with a couple key plugins that I've got shown here, it really gets tamed very quickly. I'm using Cadence blocks and I'm using Editor Plus. And here's why it gets tamed. Here's a product. I'll give it a price of $100. Let's say it's virtual. Now, if I want to, with LaunchFlows, I can select the blank template or one of these other pre-mades. Watch when I switch to one of these pre-made ones. This is a terrific option for somebody who is wanting to sell, let's say, hundreds of MP3s and so forth, because I can look at this thing and I go, all right, great. Yeah, it's kind of plain. Let's jazz this up simply by doing two things. Let's use the cadence to switch the format to full width. And number two, let's be sure to add the product image for the product. And just by doing that alone, everything else remains the same. Look at how the output has changed. Now I've got this beautiful, dramatic selling platform where I can add the product to the cart and more. But watch how even better this can be if I choose to add the checkout to this page. Simply by adding the checkout to this page, LaunchFlows knows that it's a checkout. Now it adds a scroll to checkout button. My background and the title of the product is automatic. Boom, I'm ready to buy. So I go ahead and clone this product 500 ways to Sunday, and I don't have to do anything else. Let's try this. If I just simply take this product and duplicate it, and now I rename it something else. We'll call it, John's product. And let's say I change the image because it's a different product, but I'll change it to another, big, bold, beautiful background. I set that, publish. In about, what was it, 30 seconds, I've now got a one-page sales and checkout. And let me clear the cache. Oh, sorry. Let's go to the actual real product, the new product. I've got, in like no time flat, 1 minute or less, another product of my 10,000 products that can be bought on itself. So again, for those people, this was inspired by somebody who wants to do like thousands of SKUs, and they don't want to set up flows with steps or all the other janky stuff. If you wanted to, when the person buys this, you simply configure the product to say, instead of going to the thank you page, go to my upsell offer, go to my order bump offer, and so forth. Okay, so I think we've covered a lot of territory in there, but the essence here is that For those that are confused about why and how they should be doing sales funnels and marketing automation, let me clarify to ramp this up. Number one, if you had a physical shop in 2020 and after COVID, somebody came in and looked at all your stuff and left without you knowing who they were or how to reach out to them, you would be committing a crime against your own business. So that's why people put fish bowls on the counter, or they offer things like, would you like to join our credit card program? It's because understanding the person's behavior today and every day there forward is essential to giving them the kind of experience they want from you. That's what we do here. You can change the things that people see and the offers they're given by using WooCommerce and LaunchFlows if you know about the person because of your CRM and, let's say, WP Fusion. And together with your page builder, hopefully you're at least open to using Gutenberg, it can be as simple as just like 30 seconds per product to change it from something where you know nothing, can do nothing, to holy mackerel. And when you combine this with other known things such as abandoned cart, when you've used the method I just said of registering and logging somebody in from the moment you have first contact, if somebody comes and clicks and doesn't buy, guess what? We can send them an automatic message that says, hey, you had these things in your cart. You want to buy it? And we all know how compelling that can be because you got kids or work or the dog ate your stuff and you got distracted. So it really is imperative for anybody to think about what to do. Now, what we do with LaunchFlows is the plugin. At WP Launchify, we provide the whole kit. So in other words, somebody who comes in who has an existing site can have a call with us for free. Typically that leads to a 1-hour consultancy where we get everything ship shape and we can deliver the various components they need specific to them. And that's one of the main things that I found is my area of specialty. I'm very good at helping people like, ask your plumber to come over to the house and fix the plumbing, or ask Martha Stewart to come cook some cookies. It's not a whole site build out. It's not a whole design thing like your business does. It's, I already have something and I want to achieve a little bit more, and I need you to come in and retrofit us.
Well, your marketing automation, we're membership learning membership websites, So, right. But I think just a quick question before we wrap it up. I know Fluent CRM are in the near future bringing out a major update. Is there anything in that update that you think, I don't know if you kept yourself on the radar there? Is there anything in that major update that you think is really interesting?
There should be a new update coming after this long weekend because I'm actually very active with Shah Jahan and his team. And of course, I'm primarily involved with Jack Arturo at WP Fusion. So what I can say is this: WP Fusion is really the first and really the only plugin that does the kind of things that it does. However, there's one exception. And Jack and I discussed this because it's something that's just, it's fine. There's maybe 50 plus CRMs that WP Fusion will connect to your WordPress space that are all outside, they're SaaS hosted. Because Fluent CRM is internal, Shah Jahan has coordinated to make it do many of the same things that WP Fusion will do. And one of the things that I believe is going to happen, based upon a suggestion I had with him, was that, and Jack seems okay with this too, is that to just give the Fluent CRM the other features that I just discussed, page protection, the ability to create a contact automatically when somebody buys a product versus not, or create a user if somebody's added to the CRM. And if those things are added, as I expect they will be shortly, then you'll basically probably be able to just use Fluent CRM if that's your choice of CRMs, and you might not need WP Fusion for that particular setup. So it's even easier. That doesn't take away anything from Jack's plugin, because Jack's plugin is like groundbreaking, and for so many other CRMs, it's the necessary step. That's just for the one plugin of Fluent. Yeah. But I love, as an example, because of my involvement with WP Launchify, how working with Jack, working with Shah Jahan, working with some of the other main authors has allowed us on our own to create our own platform suggestion. Yes, there may be 2 million other plugins, but if you use this core stack of stuff, it's no different than if you bought into ClickFunnels, except you own it, control it, and it has more features.
Rightio. I think it's been a great insight. Spencer will be joining us next month to show some more Gutenberg, the modern method with WordPress. It should be another great workshop. We'll see you soon, folks. We'll see you next month. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye. Press the button.